Happy Monday, Owls. It's time for the next instalment of our book, Witch Wars. So we are on chapter 23 now, which is called Bald No More. Silky black hair, climb up my silky black hair. Tiga took a step forward. I'm afraid to inform you, you don't actually have any hair. Oh, yes, I do. You definitely don't, said Peggy. But we, Tiga said, holding up the wigs, have some hair for you. Tiga opened her book of spells, flicked past all the cat food recipes and tapped her finger on a potion called Grow. Peggy took off her hat and carefully, so as not to accidentally crush the shriveled head, laid it on the ground. For the potion. I thought witches used cauldrons, Tiga said. Peggy shook her head. That was in the olden days. Now we use pots and pans or anything that can hold the ingredients. Who's going to lug a massive iron cauldron around with them? Tiga smiled and read out the ingredients. Some hair. Peggy plucked a hair off her head. A drop of water. Peggy shook some water off the leaves of a nearby bush. A dragon's bone. Peggy looked around. That one might be a problem. Let's improvise with a tiny stone. Will that work? Tiga asked. Peggy tossed the stone into the hat along with the wigs, and they waited. The wigs started to wriggle like cats. Well, they're growing, but they aren't stopping, Tiga cried, holding up the wigs that were getting longer and longer by the second. She held them in the air and waved them. New hair for you! The old witch's eyes lit up. Ooh, grey! Fran rolled her eyes, grabbed hold of the wig and lugged it up the tower to the witch. She plonked it on her head. What do you think? Lovely, Tiga and Peggy said together. The no longer bald witch let down her grey wig and Tiga grabbed hold of it, but she spotted something odd on the tower. On one of the bricks there was a little moving image. It was the TV spell Aggie Hoof had cast earlier. Pegs, look, she said. Is that? Peggy began. Tiga nodded and pointed at the bottom of the screen. It said Felicity Bat. Is she? Peggy said. Tiga nodded. It looked to her like Felicity Bat was in bed, all the way back in Linden House. She's miles behind, Peggy cried. What on earth is she doing, having a nap? Tiga stared at the image of the witch asleep in bed. Something isn't right. We'll beat her at this rate, Peggy said, grinning at the screen. Tiga wasn't so sure. She began climbing the grey hair. Ouch! Be gentle, the woman cried. Sorry, Tiga called up to her. You know, Tiga, we're going to be so far ahead of Felicity Bat, said Peggy. Tiga looked down to smile at her, and that's when she saw it. Two little figures scuttled past the tower. It's Millie and Molly, Tiga yelled. Climb faster, Peggy. But it was too late. The twins had spotted them and were pulling at the witch's hair. I said be gentle, the witch cried. Gentle! Millie and Molly cackled and tugged harder. Ugh, this is so not what I want to be doing right now, videoing this silly battle. Ugh! The sulky sister fairies groaned as Molly scrambled up the hair. Tiga swung the hair back and forth, trying desperately to knock Molly off. Molly reached up and grabbed hold of Peggy's shoe. Peggy was frantically trying to wriggle free. Ouch! Get off my silky grey hair! Ouch! I'm not a swing! The witch yelled. Sorry, Tiga said as she stopped swinging on the hair. There was a crunch and the hair hung limply below her. She froze. Peggy? She was afraid to look down. There was nothing but silence and a little bit of huffing from the old witch in the tower. I don't have all day, she said, even though she definitely did. Oh, Molly, I'm sorry. Did I get your nose? Tiga heard below her. I really didn't mean to. Peggy! Tiga cried. When she looked down, she could see Peggy hanging on by no more than 3 fingers. Molly was standing on the ground, looking furious. In one hand, she was clutching her nose, and in the other was a smashed, shrivelled head. Black smoke was billowing up her legs. Ugh! One out. Knew we didn't have the winners. One of the sulky sisters groaned. Ugh! Rubbish. Molly disappeared with a pop. Ah, the pop, said Fran, rocking on her heels in the air. Did I tell you adding the pop was my idea? Tiga didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on Millie. What was she going to do? Get angry? Try to get revenge on Tiga and Peggy for knocking her sister's shriveled head off? She was going to do none of those things. I'm not doing Witch Wars without Molly, she said, throwing her shriveled head to the ground and jumping on it. Black smoke started to billow up her legs. Oh, she gave up. Oh, quitters, the sulky sister fairies moaned. Millie and Molly are out. As things begin to get hairy in the Witch Wars competition, Millie and Molly are the latest to have their shriveled heads crushed. Our reporter met them at their ritzy city home to talk about what it's like to be out of the competition. Molly: well, at least mine was crushed by Peggy. Millie squashed hers herself. Reporter: I haven't asked a question yet. Millie: why not? Reporter: well, I was going to. Molly: are you good at interviewing people? Reporter: oh yes, very good. Millie: what do you like most about interviewing people? Reporter: well, lots of things really. It's all started when I was a child. Note from the Ritzy City Post editor: we are not going to print the rest of this interview because it's just Millie and Molly interviewing our reporter, which is the opposite of what was meant to happen. And so, a final word from Millie and Molly's fairies, the Sulky Sisters. Ugh, being interviewed is so boring. Ugh, rubbish. Reporter: thank you.